All right. Sunset Sessions. I'm here with Brogan Graham. He had the option of having Busch Light or sparkling wine, otherwise known as champagne, and he chose the champagne. So we're just going to send this.
And I'm getting my own content here. Not the whole time, but just for the opening ceremonies.
I mean, can you blame him? I don't know about
the opening ceremonies. We'll need. Are you going for height or are you going for the water?
I don't think I could make the distance.
Okay.
Gonna try not to obstruct traffic, but we're sending it. Either way.
Here we go.
Here we go. Might land in that person's...
Yeah, get it. Go for a convertible. Go for a convertible.
But, all right. It's happening
I mean,
in
I
3,
picked champagne, just
2,
for the record.
1. Oh, God.
Windshield.
We got him. Well,
Windshield.
here it is. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. This is awesome.
Yes.
And then you obviously have a champagne glass.
Something like that. I can't, we can't just be totally ordinary.
I asked for a champagne glass and she said, well, what did you say? It was like something about like keeping it real or something?
Well, yeah, you're like, oh, I gotta go get a champagne. I brought the mugs. It
was very bougie. First of all, back up. She's like, would you like something to drink? And she listed off like fucking 12 things. And then I said, can we cuss? Can we swear?
Oh, yeah.
So she listed off like fucking 12 things. And then the last thing was champagne.
Well, I was like, I've got Busch Light,
I'm trying to give you like a
Coors Light, Bud Light, seltzers,
Red
Pilsner,
Dog,
Red Man.
Yeah. Goldschlager. I was like, what in the high school? So then I just, out of nowhere, I was trying to throw you a curveball socially. I want you to like not know what I'm about, like this whole time.
Right. Am I bougie?
Am I bougie? Am I fancy? What is that? So champagne it is.
Cheers.
Cheers to the show, to you.
Hell of a mug. Sunset Session.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And just let me know when you need. Well, you can help yourself.
Yeah, we'll keep that out. So, what do we do? Do I follow your lead? I mean, I was asking about you, which I was trying to turn the show around, but
right. Yeah, you kind of.
I successfully learned a lot about you before
we even started rolling.
Before the show began,
which is fine.
I'm gonna use this as a launch pad for my show. So, welcome. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Send it. No, what I would like to know, so I've researched a lot about you. This is the first time that we've ever met each other.
Friendship begins.
Here it begins. But what would you consider your title? So, I mean, I can pretend like I know and I can name a bunch of things that you do, but like, what do people say? Like, what do people call you? What do you call yourself?
What do I call myself? I am, well, first of all, it's an important time to talk a lot about like this day and age, identity and titles and things that you do, like professionally, but also like in general. So I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a wannabe surfer. I am a fitness, not fanatic, but I'm a fan of fitness. And I lead a group that's a nonprofit organization. I'm a director and a co-founder for a group called November Project, which is a free fitness organization that uses workouts that happen rain or shine in the morning to build community and to bring people together. Right. And just kind of in a glance, November Project, there's one in Minneapolis. It's anywhere from 50 to a couple hundred people. Wednesday morning at sunrise, 6:27 a.m. And people of all ages come together. There's folks my mom's age that are there. She goes to November Project.
How old your mom?
She is, well, that's very inappropriate. You're not supposed to ask. You're not supposed to ask a lady's age.
You can't say your mom's age and, okay.
My mom is 110.
That could be a range.
No, my mom, I think my mom is 56, so she's 1956. So what is that? 65.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And then there's some really cutthroat athletes that are there as well, but it's more about the coming together of people.
Sure.
And rallying around the word community and fun. I think a lot of people like are openly like they hate running or they hate working out. Mm-hmm. And maybe November Project is a way that we can make fitness like exciting or social or creative or upbeat, or like kind of like accidentally run a few miles or accidentally do some burpees, but like maybe you made some new friends, that vibe. So that's November Project.
As kind of a byproduct of what the bigger picture is, for sure. So like, fitness is kind of a byproduct of what you guys are doing. But it's interesting that you touch on the fun thing, because I feel like, and I know that you are very passionate about so many causes right now, but I feel like personally, a lot of people are forgetting that life is short and we just need to have fun.
Sure.
And with that is not, with no disregard to respecting each other, with being good humans, with all of those things.
Yeah.
But like, taking ourselves really seriously. So I think there's a balance between being passionate about those causes and having fun.
Yeah.
What's your take on
wow,
that?
That is a loaded question because I think you might answer that question differently in different parts of the world. November Project exists in 9 different countries, in 53 cities, and so different people that I'm connected to through November Project, whether they're members or leaders or former leaders, would answer that differently. I hear often that people use November Project as a place to escape. And that could be from their rigorous student life, their ongoing treatments, family stresses, pandemic stresses, like whatever it is, it's a bit of an island.
Right.
And so it's been interesting trying to figure out how to play through important issues, but also still respect the safe space that is an agenda-free, good time.
Right.
Because what you're getting at basically is like, let's remember to still have fun. And I think that's a really important piece, because that is one thing that November Project is good at.
I guess what I'm saying is, and we should kind of digress a little bit. November Project was started.
Yeah, here we go. What do you got? No.
All right, I'll give you the spiel.
Yeah.
You and a buddy started it as a personal project when
Boy
you
in
were
Mandrick. He just turned 40.
living in
Boston. I'll fill in the blanks if you come to any blanks.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You're living in Boston, and you guys say, all right, we need a little discipline, so we're going to spend the whole month. Yeah, it was a little foamy. I'll take a top or two. You guys said we're going to spend the month of November, and we're going to challenge ourselves, see if we can get up every morning very early and just show up. We got to work out every morning. We're going to see if it works.
Yeah,
accountability.
That kind of thing.
And so it ended up happening, and you guys did this, and I mean, obviously, making a long story short.
No, it's great. I love this story. It's my favorite story.
It grew into something because it was bigger than working out.
Sure.
It's more than working out. It was more like just showing up. And it's something cool that I've heard you say, and some of the research that I did is, you knew you had to get out of bed because you knew he might. You knew your buddy was going to do it, and so you wanted to be accountable for him.
For sure.
You both wanted to be accountable for each other. And so that has grown into kind of the theme, from what I've gathered, is like showing up for your community. You're not showing up to work out, you're not showing up to get fit, you're not showing up to get jacked, but you're showing up for your community.
You did your homework, dude. I'm proud of you. Okay, cool. So it started with a buddy of mine. Yeah, that's correct. We were former rowers in Boston. We took ourselves really serious as Division I athletes. We thought we were awesome. We were all right. We were okay at best. But the reason I'm telling you that part of the story is that we were really diligent about start times, kind of the rain or shine vibe, like a little bit of a broski push of like, let's fucking go.
Right, very disciplined and taking yourselves very seriously.
Right, and then but we weren't that fit at the time, so it was okay. And I credit him to really keeping the trains on time in terms of like, I think before the workout was even over, we knew what time and where we were doing the next thing. And he started the spreadsheet. We had to give the spreadsheet a name, and that's where the name November Project came from. And the untold story is that December 1st rolled around, and I was like, well, all right, that was a nice...
good process, yeah. November fun thing that we did.
Completed. And he, who I think would admit if he were on this deck, he needed the push at the beginning more than I did. But December 1st, he's like, no, this is what we do. This is happening.
Now this is just
so
normal
to play off what you're saying, the accountability thing, it kept rolling. So I think I rolled him a little bit into the first week more than he did me, but we needed each other. So what that looks like today, let's say pre-pandemic, let's say 2019, is these communities that say, oh, you're new. I'm really glad you're here. Cool. Let's do a workout. Maybe we're partners for a thing or something. And then at the end, hey, are you coming next week? And it's not like shit talk. It's just that nice, friendly, like, I really hope you make it.
It's a friendly push. It's not peer pressure.
It's a friendly push, but it is a push.
Right.
And then I think the reason I want to put it in context of pandemic versus pre-pandemic was, I think we do a little bit less of that now.
Sure.
And that is in response to, I think some of that is a little bit outdated in terms of like, dude, shut the fuck up. Well, be there,
Yeah.
That push, this day and age with the stresses and the different things, unemployment, like just people getting sick, like, people being freaked out about gatherings still, and so you kind of have to respect that. So there's less of a show up because you need to be there, but whenever you show up, this group is aware that you're there.
Not where I wanted to go with my next question, but are your gatherings going virtual for that reason?
Right. So
Because then you can still push people to log in, you know?
I know, but
I like the push part. I don't want to get rid of that.
Okay. Yeah. I like it too. But when you call yourself a community and you say you're for all people and you're inclusive, you have to then go back to my mom, right?
Yeah.
For me to go to my mom's kitchen and be like, you're not fucking going?
Right.
Like, whoa, okay. She's got her own stuff, right? So I think when you start trying to talk to everybody or claim to be inclusive, you have to kind of recalibrate. I think my style of because I was a coach as well, my style might be outdated or it's just more for certain types. And our scope is so wide now that you can't. So anyway, one thing I do love though that still happens is the leaders do a really good job of remembering names. So I came here today to sit on this balcony, but I have a hidden agenda. Not only do I want to be friends with you, but I'm fucking slow recruiting you. So I'm planting the seed today.
Spring Park November Project? Is that what you're doing?
Oh. No.
Oh, all right.
Gold Medal Park in downtown Minneapolis. Wednesday morning.
I love Gold Medal Park.
And tomorrow is Wednesday morning. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
We'll see how much champagne we drink.
Anyway, so...
But you did say in one of your videos that you could show up
hungover.
I
That's right.
hadn't seen you say
How many videos do you watch?
Just one.
Which one?
The one that's on your website. Oh, no. Then I listened to another podcast that you did. A really long... I just, had it on the background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. With your buddy,
Rich Roll.
Yeah. Yep.
That guy's a talker.
Oh. Well...
I guess so are you.
You can both hang.
Yeah.
No, you can both hang.
Yeah. All right, so where were we? So, pushing people to show up, a little bit more gentle now, all people inclusive.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
What is your definition of community? Because that's where this has gone. You're building what you call micro communities.
Sure.
But what does that mean to you? What is a community? Because we can define that as many things, right? We are as a nation a community. We are as a state a community. We are as...
Are we as a nation a community?
We'd like to be,
sure.
Right? I don't know. I think we should be.
That's a really good question. So let me try and...
You get to answer that based on what you define community as.
I gave you a hard time. I think a community is a group of people of any size that are leaning inward with a common thread. This sounds a little practiced. That are in the same similar belief system or interests. I would like to think community is also open.
Okay.
But that's not the case.
What does that mean?
Open to new people. But that I don't think that's correct in the broader term. But my definition of community would be one where people are threaded together by the similar interest or energy or excitement on something. And November Project's really weird because the dudes who lead a group down in Richmond have 400 people. Tomorrow morning they'll have 400 people. And then our smaller groups will have a dozen. And they're both strong communities, right?
Sure.
So it's not right. It's not exactly the metric that drives it.
Well, so that's my next question. So at what size do you think community can last? Because as we've seen, as a world, we would love to be one unit, right? But is that possible? Is there a limit? And I don't think, and I'm not saying if you're hey, yeah, 500 people, you can't have more than that. It's not a negative thing.
Right.
It's, how can you keep a unit close and tight knit? How can you keep, we're working with different cultures and no culture is wrong, but they're just different. And so is there a maximum capacity to keep that unit, the community unit?
I think that there's a sweet spot where it goes from being a critical mass that's become a big enough group. And I think something over 50 feels like you're at something. And I feel 100 feels like a big something when it comes to November Project. Mm-hmm. I think over a few hundred, you start to lose the faces and the names.
Sure.
And I'm just speaking from a leadership perspective of
kind of hard to remember 600 names.
Yeah, it's wallpaper. Okay. There's a lot here. Totally. And then what if you do kind of play to your favorites or your friends inside the group, or you remember their name but not her name, and his name but not their name? So it's I would say...
Then there are micro-communities within the micro-communities,
for sure.
Right?
And sometimes those are called cliques, and sometimes they're not healthy. So it's I would say, long-winded answer, I think around 100 people for a workout group, to me, with good music playing at sunrise.
Yeah, is ideal.
And people leaning in. I think that's another thing. In 2019, kind of my mantra word was enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's there's a drought. I think a lot of folks at a party or at a gas station or at a board meeting are waiting for someone else to bring it. Mm-hmm. And it's this thing that's within all of us. I think we can flip the switch, but when you see it or when you feel it, it's there it is.
Right.
And so some leaders and some members definitely bring that to November Project, and some wake up while they're there with it. But if you get 100 people with over half of them enthusiastically like charging, whether physically or just spiritually, that's perfect, in my opinion. The folks in Boston get hundreds of people, DC, Edmonton, some of these bigger groups, and they might disagree with that 100 as my answer. But I think 100 is like a sweet amount of
Well, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, and I don't think you're being offensive to a larger group of people that wants to get together. I guess my brain goes to like efficiency, right? Like what is the best number? And there's no right or wrong, but it's like, like I just said, you can't have 1 million people get together and necessarily can expect them to lean into the same exact feeling.
There's certain cities that there's certain cities that really play off of the facility. So like in Boston, for example, they're in the Harvard Stadium. They could probably host a workout efficiently. They have 3 leaders with, I've seen it, a couple thousand people. Mm-hmm. Their bigger days are like 1,100. It's like, so then it becomes just like moving cattle at that point. Right, yeah. So what's the experience and how are you trying to connect? Yeah. If it's just about moving bodies, that works.
Right.
If it's about having some sort of like
personal connection,
then maybe a dozen's better.
Right.
So, I think it would actually be a good question to ask all of my leaders. Like,
one
thing though that's tricky, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. One thing that's tricky, are we getting this?
I love a little trouble.
I think it's tricky when folks have a small community. Couple dozen people, and they say that they like to be more connected. In terms of like, it's like me driving like a Toyota, and just being like, well, I don't want a Ferrari. You know what I mean?
So because you think,
well, if you have a couple dozen people,
it's easier than to try to
be like, well, we wouldn't want 200.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because if you ask someone that leads a group of 200 people if they'd rather have 20, I don't think they would. I think it's more fun at the bigger party. I'm definitely gonna get in trouble for that. So just make sure that makes the edit.
Blame me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like you are someone who, I gave a talk this morning to a high school in Washington.
How'd it go?
I think it went well. It's virtual. I can't see anyone's faces.
Fuck.
I can't. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I haven't spoke to a high school in probably a year, and so it's the first one I've done, but the theme was grit. And that's what they had requested. And I love grit. Yeah. That's a big theme in my life. I feel like you started November Project off of grit. And I feel like you just, at the beginning of this, were like, well, it's not gritty anymore because we don't want to make anyone do anything. Or like, we don't want to force anyone to do anything. So my question is...
This interview just got really good.
My question is like, okay, so I feel like you're someone who lives with gritty principles, but now you don't want to, and it's not forcing it upon someone else, but I feel like that's what's made you successful, is grit. And I guess everyone can have a different definition of grit. I can share mine if it would help, but I feel like now you're trying not to impose trying not to impress your gritty principles on someone else because you think it'll come across as offensive or pushy or something.
I've always been told I need to go to therapy, so this is nice. I don't know what your rates are, so I feel like, I guess first session's free usually.
I'll invoice you after.
Oh my gosh. No. Okay.
Are you...
My personal belief in athletics, how to be coached and how to coach, what I gravitate and what I would go to, that is a lot of how the first 3 or more years went. That was the barometer of like, I would ask people that went to a different workout, I'd say, would you go back?
Okay.
Did you like the leader? Now, these days, I feel lucky. This is going to sound so politically driven. Ready? I feel lucky that I'm learning from 20-year-olds about inclusivity, and I'm learning about what it means to their definition of community.
Sure.
And so to be brought into that, it feels like I'm a dude who is in his late 30s that's getting a little bit of a softer update.
But you know what I mean? But I'm taking this, I'm not even talking about physical activity. Yeah. I'm talking about lifestyle. Like, I'm talking about your success, and when I say success, I mean meeting goals. I don't mean money. I don't mean Instagram followers. I don't mean anything like that. And I don't even know what your goals are, and I don't know if you've met them, but I feel like you've probably met a couple of them.
Sure.
And I feel like grit was probably part of that journey, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like that's a part of who you are, and you're afraid to push that on other people now. Not afraid in a bad way, but you're sensitive. You're like,
I'm learning to be sensitive. Yes, I'm learning to be sensitive. And I'm fighting a lot of my personal.
Right. Like what made you.
Sure.
Right. And
it's wild.
Well, it's wild. And that's why, like, so today, for instance, they want me to talk about grit, and I'm more than happy to do it. And I'm like, you guys are going to hate me. You're going to hate me. Why? How did I get to where I am? And you're going to hate me. And I'm like, grit. And then I talk about what that means to me. And I'm like, if I were you, as my 16-year-old self, my eyes would roll out of my head. Yeah. I'd say, lady, shut up. Stop, turn off the computer, whatever, we're on Zoom. And like, I was like, I would hate this.
Yeah.
But for me, it's true. Like, that is what got me to where I am. It's doing what you don't want to do sometimes. Right. And doing what makes you feel uncomfortable, and, getting yourself out of bed when you feel like, we can always make an excuse. We got a million excuses in all of our back pockets.
You would love this.
And they're good. We're good at making excuses.
Oh, yeah.
And I have the golden ticket out of anything. Well, I have cancer, so
totally.
Can't come.
I don't feel good today.
Can't go today.
Is there anyone in your life that could push you past that?
Oh, yes.
Who?
Oh, my God.
That could be like, bullshit, let's go.
100%. And they were that way. My whole family. My sister especially. There was a moment, she'd be so embarrassed. My sister is the most compassionate person
What's
that
her
I
name?
know. Tiffany.
Shout out to Tiffany. Is she funny?
She's super funny.
Funnier than you?
Nah.
Shout out, Tiffany. You're not that funny.
You're funny. You're just not that fun.
Second in line.
She keeps getting funnier, though. I'm like...
Yeah, later in life.
I used to count all the funny things that she said, and it got to 10. I was like, we maxed out. And she's like...
Tiffany.
You asshole.
Where does she live?
She's down in Florida. She's 9 years older than I am. And so she was like definitely a parental figure in my life. And like I said, she's the most compassionate person I know. She took care of me. She would lay on my bed when I was sick with cancer, wake up in the middle of the night, put her fingers under my nose, make sure I'm still breathing. Like, so compassionate. But she loves with tough love as well.
Right.
And so there's a moment when I'm as sick as I had been with leukemia, and we're backing out of the driveway, and I'd go to school 3 hours late and maybe try to go for an hour because I was too stubborn to miss school. And I remember this morning I'd gotten up and I was too weak. So I remember I sat down in the shower and I was too weak to put my arms up and wash my hair. So I just sat there and got out of the shower, couldn't brush my hair, ragdoll, let's go. And we're backing out of the driveway, and I was like, I'm so weak, I can't even brush my hair. I just wish all my hair would fall out. And I was on, the medication that I'm on doesn't make me lose all my hair. Right. So it's not a traditional chemotherapy, but it is a chemotherapy.
You were just saying stuff.
And I was 16, I'm dying, and I'm like, can't put my hands above my head and wash my hair. And I was like, I just wish all my hair would fall out. And she was like, that's not fair.
Right.
And I know, looking back, my sister would be like, there's no way. There's no way I would say that. I think in her mind it was like this, she was protecting her own heart. Like,
for sure.
She had never seen me weak and never seen me complain and never seen me in that situation. So she was more trying to be like, take it back. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But she was like, do not fucking say that.
Yeah, but often in those situations too, like if you're so ragdoll and beaten, doesn't give a lot of options. Like, someone's got to be tough in the car.
Well, and that's why
the role was already taken.
And I don't feel sorry for her saying that. I'd be just as hard on her, right? So it's like, yes, my sister, every decision that I make is like, shit, what would Tiff think? Or, you know, but it goes through this Tiff filter, my sister filter. And I think, people with parents who are like disciplined and not hard on you, but like, you should have someone who your decisions go through a filter, right? Like, what would they think of me?
Sure.
My grandparents think of me if I did this. And so, my point being
Here we go.
is we can all make excuses not to do something. And sometimes they're very good. And like I said, I have the golden ticket getting out of anything I want. But I knew that the minute that I used cancer as an excuse was the minute cancer defined me.
Right.
The minute cancer held me back.
Right.
That was it. And so, sure, go for it. Use it. Use cancer as an excuse. But then, all right, then you're just a cancer patient. Like, what do you want to be? Do you want that to hold you back? And I think we all have the option to do that. And that's where I'm asking you.
Oh, that's awesome. But hang on, just pause it. That mindset choice though is cool, because and you were a young person to make that call. Like, that's cool. I think people underestimate like how teenagers are all idiots, right? No, they're actually pretty sharp. And especially on death's door, you'd expect the ragdoll to be kind of hazy. That's sharp thinking. I think that's cool. Anyway, so what was your question?
No, the question goes back to this grit thing where, like, at what point, you know, like I said, I feel like grit is a big part of your story and why you have been able to move so many people and make these communities and have so much success in enhancing people's lives. But then you're kind of afraid to, or not afraid, but sensitive to impose grit onto other people. Where is that line?
Yeah.
Like,
I think, it's a really good question. And I might not have the answer today. I do think about what grit remains. So what, you know, if the Boston winters were this tough and this dark, and, you know, they have November Project in Winnipeg and in Iceland and in places that are like treacherous and dark, and it's awesome. But I think you look around, like the fitness, especially the community space, and you're like, what's out there that's tough, that is open to everybody? That's not a lot of things. Okay, those two metrics, and then it's free. And then can look you in the eye and say, we're going to be here 52 Wednesdays in a row.
Because we should add that there, in the spaces where November Project exists, it's rain or shine, does not matter the temperature.
And I think that is a piece, and we call it being weatherproof. That's a piece where it's just like, it's easy to say, and for outdoor athletes and outdoor enthusiasts, yeah, if it rains, it's like, no, you got to try and go to 52 Wednesdays in a row.
Yeah.
Because then you really experience Minnesota. You really experience Orlando. I mean, we have one there. In Phoenix, you know?
Summer in Orlando is just as hard as winter in Minnesota.
Totally. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, you know, Phoenix.
No, it is, though.
Their summers are treacherous to get outside in Phoenix. So I think that is a piece of grit. Not only the commitment to the leaders for, like, we look at a lot of leaders that want to join or start November Project, and we say, you probably don't have the bandwidth. You're probably not up to this.
Huge commitment.
Yeah. And so that piece of, like, do you want to build community a little, or is this your life? And do you believe so much in this place that you're going to give yourself 52, 104 Wednesdays? Like, that is gritty.
Right.
And then you add the weather in a place like here. I think it's legitimate in a way that Barry's Boot Camp isn't, and Peloton isn't, and CrossFit isn't. And, like, they can talk about training, you know, programs and gains and PRs, but we're outside no matter fucking what.
Right.
And if you don't make it, the difference between culture now and back in the day when I started is when you come back next Wednesday, we're not saying it tongue-in-cheek. We are glad you're back, but last week was fucking frigid and you missed it.
Right.
And it was really good.
Right.
And we're bummed you weren't there. Not a guilt trip, but, like, the culture has become, especially November Project, like, the more, this is a little twisted, the more fucked up the weather is, the more vivid the experience is, and then the more memorable it is. And you look around and you're sharing it with less people. I was asked last week what my favorite November Project the question was 3 favorite November Project workouts. Because this fall, November 1st, will mark 10 years. And I know one of them right off the bat. And it was this monsoon thing that went down in Boston in August in 2012. And it was the most rain I've ever seen. And most people weren't there. And those of us that were there were hooting and hollering. And the rain shut off. And all of a sudden, a couple hundred people start booing and screaming at the dark sky.
It's like Prince at the halftime show.
Totally.
He goes, you know, he was going to play at halftime, and it was raining at the Super Bowl halftime, and his people kept going, oh, you're going to get struck by lightning. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And he goes, can you make it rain harder?
Totally.
Because he knew.
Totally.
It's memorable. It's meaningful.
And when you add that layer of who's there, who could make it, these days it's less like guilt trippy at who wasn't there. It's more celebratory at who is there.
Right.
And you get to give them, talk about golden tickets, you know, coupons for grit.
Yeah, you were
grit
there.
coupons. You
were
did
there.
it.
You were
so
there.
I think that vibe's important. I think being gritty is, like, more self-defined than when we started this, and so it sounds a little PC. It sounds a little crafted. Silver-tongued, as they say.
It's silver-tongued,
but
perhaps.
I am stepping into growing with this thing.
Yeah.
Because if we weren't able to grow, I don't think we would have made it 10 years. I think if we were stuck in our core values, like, we'd be older dudes that used to do this boot camp thing. And November Project continues to grow. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You have an inside joke about sparkling wine.
Champagne.
It's the same thing. Some of it's from Champagne.
Champagne. It's a symbol of celebration.
Correct.
It's a symbol of celebration.
I love where you're going.
Right? Well, I also don't drink champagne, you know? I'm a beer guy. Well, the fact that you had it was outrageous. The fact that you had it was outrageous.
But all right. For me,
we have a big event in November, and all of our focus is pointed towards that. It's an in-person race in San Diego. And I'm trying to get there.
Okay.
And champagne is a bit of a celebration.
Well, for me, so
Not even the drinking part, just kind of like what it symbolizes.
No, 100%. And so generally, it's kind of like well known throughout my friends. Like, I will always have bubbles, sparkling wine, champagne, you name it, on hand.
Just in case.
No, I just drink it regularly because I'm like, oh, find a reason to celebrate today.
Right.
Like, it's a reason to celebrate, or like, there's always a reason to celebrate. And I love celebration. And to me, like, popping a bottle of sparkling wine or champagne is just the best.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, love my, like, Busch Light, Bud Light. I can,
respect.
That's what I drink.
Respect.
But, so it doesn't have to be something fancy. Love a good bottle of champagne. But it is always a thing to celebrate.
I want to reference the fact that you popped the bottle of champagne. The cork went high up into the air. Crowded street down here, by the way. We're in a bustling part of Wayzata. I don't know if this is. Yeah. Is this Wayzata?
Yeah, and technically it's Spring Park.
Yeah.
It's also rush hour, Spring Park rush hour.
So yeah, there's like a car every minute. So if you get that audio. But anyway, the cork went high in the sky. Very, like a big moment. Off the ground, off a windshield. No one was hurt.
Oh God. If he's watching. Yeah, no one was hurt in the making of
By the
that.
way, as it feels like we're kind of toward the midpoint of this episode, how am I doing? Rank me as a guest. Like, should I, like, more arm gestures, less energy, more energy? Should I let you talk more? Should I cut you off? And another thing is that, keep going.
I like it when you ask me questions.
Yeah. Should I cut off your answers? Should I talk more over you?
See, that's funny.
Another thing
I'm
I wanted to
actually
talk
really
about.
good at
another
cutting
thing
off your answers.
I wanted to mention.
I have so many things to say.
Well, so grid. What else are we talking about?
Well, okay. So we just came.
Would you go? Would you go to November Project? Let's just cut the shit.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So I let the people know that I'm not like. How do I phrase this? I'm not into like corny. Let's dance around and be a community groups. Not like that they exist. Sometimes I get a little like...
No, they exist. They definitely exist.
And sometimes I get a little... I have to go against the grain. We're drinking champagne out of my grandparents'
mugs.
Because I can't, I want to do what everyone else is doing.
Sure.
Drinking out of champagne flutes. So sometimes I get a little bit too much like...
Too cool.
Or like trying not to be cool.
Got it.
Kind of like the group that's trying not to be cool.
Got it.
And so, but... every time I have went to something, like I've been to a couple like morning dance parties and whatnot, I'm like, yes. And I've willingly...
And you're into it or not?
Totally. And
Got
I willingly went. It's not that I'm like, no, and then someone has to drag me there. It's like, I actually really want to go to that. And then I end up really enjoying it. It's nice to meet the people behind it. It's nice to hear the story behind things.
Cool.
And make sure that they're authentic and, I think community is super important. I also think it's important, for your project, like keeping it small, keeping it the smaller groups. I think it's more meaningful.
Cool.
But who am I to say? I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, a lot of talk. So tomorrow morning is Wednesday. And we say Wednesday comes but once a week.
Check my schedule.
You're available at 6:30 in the morning. I've already checked.
I am.
So there's this thing that it's kind of old November Project culture, but we call it giving a verbal, which means you basically look someone in the eye and say, yeah, I'll be there. If you don't go, though, there used to be a wall of shame that we would put you up on.
Which doesn't exist anymore. See, this is where I kind of...
You want the wall of shame? We'll bring it back. Fuck it, we'll bring it back.
I love...
the banter, the shit talk.
It's not even shit talk, it's accountability. And I feel like that's something that, again, like, is being lost in today's culture. And that's not downplaying the reasons
Got it.
why that is being lost, but it's like people are using it.
All right.
They're using it.
What are your excuses then?
We can all come up with a list.
No. Tomorrow morning.
For tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning.
Well, number one, I have cancer.
There it is. Yes.
And then second of all,
whoa. Okay, then I'll back off.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
See, no.
I'm so sorry. No, you're right. You shouldn't go.
No, the excuses are, I was just telling Troy before he came here, I'm like, Don't even have time to do my laundry, but
yeah.
I'm actually okay with that. Dirty. You're fine.
I'll do your laundry. Fuck it.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go to the end of the earth. What do you want? What do you need? You need a ride?
So.
Fuck a black car? I'll send you a black car.
Nope.
You want a boat? There's a bunch of boats out here.
See, that's the thing, and that's where grit comes into play. Like, I could be there. I could 100% be there, and I could do that.
Say you're going. Say you're going.
Okay, I'll
This
go.
is recorded on a Tuesday evening. Champagne o'clock.
All right, fine. I'll go.
Yes.
That's great, and I'm here preaching about grit.
Yes.
All right, I'll be there. 6:30, gold medal.
6:27.
Oh God.
You got to park by
All right.
6:20. You got to walk up the hill, meet at the top.
Yep, I can do that. I know exactly.
You got to sign the waiver online. It's great.
Okay.
God, you're awesome. Come on.
God, he's really good at what he
This
does.
is documented for all time. And then, new culture. I won't give her a hard time. She has cancer if she can't make it.
Oh no.
But
I have to be there.
individually, though, like not public platform, but individually, you'll be in trouble.
There's hell to pay.
Yeah, you'll be in trouble. Our friendship will be over. It'll be over.
It was short-lived.
One and done.
As quickly as it began, it ended.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
She's going.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions.
Bring a blank t-shirt.
You're from
Madison, Wisconsin.
Madtown.
Spent 12 years in Boston, 5 years in San Diego, lived here for 2 years.
Okay.
12-pound baby.
What?
12-pound baby. I was a 12-pound baby.
You were 12 pound.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm goofy-footed on the surfboard.
All right, right foot forward, all right.
I know the flags of the world. It's kind of a fun fact, a little Rain Man skill. All of them.
Can you name all the states?
I can't. Well, I mean, I could if I had a map or something.
Okay.
What is your skill? What do you got? What's your like special weird thing? Can you juggle?
Well, I can name all the states.
You can like wakeboard flips and shit.
I got a lot of weird stuff. I do crossword puzzles.
Okay,
got
cool.
a lot of useless knowledge. But my question is for you, because a big theme for me in talking to people is like how their childhood affects them.
Okay.
Wait, what was like, and we have to make this obviously brief for what it actually is.
Sure.
But like, what was your childhood like growing up?
This is my therapy.
But no, like honestly, like I think that's what people want to know, because that's what people think about when they're like, I'm trying to make decisions, I'm trying to be successful. They think about like, or I shouldn't say they think about it. It affects them.
Yeah.
Where they came from.
Yeah.
What were your parents like? And you don't have to get specific, but like, tell me what childhood was like.
Oh, yeah. So I had I have one brother, 2 years older. Mm-hmm. He's like the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. Probably my best friend on earth. I think he's an idiot. He's the best. I hate him. Okay.
But he makes you laugh.
He's great. And he and I recently were on a trip together, a camping trip, and we were talking a lot about this, what creates people, or what people go through things and become more themselves or less themselves, right? So whatever school of thought. And we talked a lot about, and even this week I wrote a letter to one of my old coaches about what style affected you as a young athlete, student athlete, and how that resonated or changed your life or was rejected at a young age. You have friends who were teammates of yours at a young age that were like, fucking this is stupid. We're just kicking a soccer ball around, and plus this coach is an idiot. I'm out.
Yeah.
And you had friends that were really committed to a culture and a coach and a sport and a craft and a training program, and they were in for a long haul for many reasons, right? And he and I spoke a lot about, my brother and I spoke a lot about positive male role models that were like militant. Like the tough love, talk about grit. Like,
yeah.
In the letter that I wrote to my coach this week, I talked a lot about how he would line us up on the baseline under the hoop. This was like 4th grade basketball all the way through 12th.
So you're basketball.
Hoops, yeah, I grew up playing hoops. And
playing
basketball. And and he would say to us at a very young age, "Are you tired?" We're doing sprints up and down on the clock. Are you tired? There's like a U.S. hockey movie about this kind of thing. Again. Yeah, that thing. Minnesota culture. I should know it. I don't.
Miracle.
I'm new here.
Miracle.
So it was that
1980
in a really beat down kind of scary gym on the south side of Madison. And he said, "You will never be standing on the court in a game with the ability to admit that you're tired. I'm not putting that out. So if you want to be on this team, you need to," it's weird, I've never said this out loud, you need to
you've thought of it, you've like remembered it in a memory.
I wrote it this week. So you need to either be more resilient, he didn't use that word, be more tough, something, more resilient, So figure that out.
Figure the fuck out or get out.
Or fake it.
Fake it. Okay.
And so it was this culture, and I these exact lines this week was like, I remember young guys turning to other guys who were falling apart and pulling them by the back of their shirt up.
You gotta go.
Stand upright. Don't look tired. It's the bustling metropolis.
Spring Park traffic jam.
We are in downtown Minnetonka.
It's a two-lane road.
Downtown Lake Minnetonka. Anyway,
Okay.
the point is, I remember watching teamwork happening because of his directive of culture. Now, toxic, wrong vibe. Dude was a maniac. It would never work today. It would never.
For what reason?
What I know of younger student athletes, what I know of the younger generations, it sounds like so crotchety and old, because it was super aggressive. Super aggressive.
Okay. So my question to you is, are you grateful for what you learned from him?
Beyond words, for sure.
So you wouldn't change his coaching style?
Not at all. But I also know that guys on that team were very turned off and stopped playing because of it. Not a lot, but it's a strong dose of culture. It's a strong dose of personality, and I think it hit a lot of people as a fork in the road. Mm-hmm. I'm not this tough. The difference was, the fork in the road should come when you're like in 8th or 9th or 10th. This was like 4th grade, 10 years old.
Yeah, totally.
So now that we're in the land of Minnesota hockey, like I kind of get it when I see dads. I had a couple dads ask me how old my kid was. My kid's learning how to skate this year. He's 3. And they're like, so what high school? They're like, well, what high school? And I'm like, what's happening? And they're looking, I'm super fucking tall. They're like, yeah, so did you play in college? And I'm like, are you recruiting my baby right now? Yeah. Anyway, so I think that people in my life who connect to that, style of coaching, I think share a similar style of grit. And so right or wrong, and that's a conversation for another time. Mm-hmm. But this was a thank you letter that I sent out this week.
That was okay. My next question.
Because
were you saying I wish you would have coached us differently, or were you saying thank you?
No, I don't think he knew in that moment that he was creating teamwork. I thought it looked like a dictatorship telling the law of the land, and I think he actually, if he were to stop in the moment, I think he thought that's what he was doing. These are the fucking rules. But a positive byproduct was that young men were pulling each other up.
Well, and that
is the weakest guy's falling apart. We need him.
But that's actually something that they say, and I don't know if they mentioned this in the actual movie Miracle, the movie you referenced about 1980 U.S. hockey team. So I can't remember if they referenced it in the actual movie or if this is in the documentary,
right, where
they hated their coach so much that they became a unit.
Right.
So in that, I think what you're saying is a byproduct. It wasn't that far,
but yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's kind of just a side note. What I'm saying is, like, in today's culture, we're going away from that. That's abusive. It's so terrible. But meanwhile, you're writing a thank you letter to this coach saying, I'm grateful for you. Yeah, you're fucking hard on us. Insane. 4th grade? What? But you're a product of that environment, and you are benefiting from that. So that's where I'm like, today, where is the line between being, I don't know.
I know.
Accepting, politically correct, thoughtful, meaningful, and just you got to get it done.
Do the work.
And that's where, like, giving that talk today to the high school, I'm like, you're gonna fucking hate me, but I'm grit. That's how you got to do it.
The one thing I think we both got to watch ourselves on is, like, isn't this what our grandfathers said because they walked to school both ways uphill in the snow? Aren't we doing that?
No, I think we're
Isn't that it?
I think we're 20% of that.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're
appreciate
drinking champagne, talking about it into a camera.
Yeah.
Sitting next to the lake,
I think we're awesome.
Wearing sneakers and, like,
I think we're cool.
I think we have it pretty good. The baseline is pretty good. That's where it's different than our. Well, it depends who your grandfather is, right?
What was the line? There's a really very famous rock climber named Alex Honnold, and he has this line that nothing. What was it? Nothing good comes from being cozy. Nothing good comes from being
comfortable. Well, you don't grow.
Yeah, and so nothing's achieved from a place of being cozy.
Yeah, totally.
And so, as we raise this generation, being a dad, it's something I think about a lot.
I'm sure.
This is not a conversation that I engage with November Project folks on to hear all their positions of, like, what it is to be, because different athletes need different things, and people are on a different part of the road. This person's never run a mile in their life. This person's running their 10th marathon. You speak to them different. They need different things. Okay, got it.
Totally.
But this idea of being a parent changes it a little bit, because we teach our kid to fall, literally, to the point where we see him run across the playground and we know, because he look on his face, he's going to dive chest first on the ground. Other parents go like this, and we go, no, that's just like part of his thing.
Right.
I think that is borderline crazy, grit-seeking intentionality of, okay, if you can handle the fall, that's great, but the practice is getting up. I know that's cheesy. The practice is getting up. And again, the practice is getting up. And so the next time you break your wrist, but it'll all be within this concept of, yeah, but when the wrist heals, you're going to fall again, and then you're going to get up again. And I think that cocoon that we put on kids where it's like, I don't think you're going to get that resilient spirit. I think you're going to get a brittle spirit.
Totally. And
I think so.
And it's so easy for me to say this, but I'm basing it off of people that I know who have grown up in situations where they're so protected that they don't even know how to operate.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to operate. And so, like, I understand, like, human nature is you want to protect, but, like, you have to have some sort of, I'm here to teach you how to operate. I'm not here to be your safety net.
Right.
And I don't know. That's my take on that situation. I can't speak to that because I don't have kids, and I know once that happens, I'll be like,
totally.
No, don't fall.
Totally.
don't dive in the playground.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yes,
you'll take it all back.
No, and that's where I'm like, that's.
I mean,
what I think.
And the role of the traditional gender stereotypes, and the role of the father and the role of the mother, and those very traditional things that are locked in. I talk to a lot of dads about this. Like, what kind of dad do you want to be? What kind of dad did you have? What kind of dad did you want? What kind of dad did your dad have? And like this passed down thing of, there is this expectation on boys and girls that's different. Yeah. And it's I think it's unfair, but it's kind of locked in certain families. And so I talk to and engage with as many dads as I can about this, because number one, I'll steal someone's notes, what's working.
Of course.
A buddy of mine's a hockey player up in Edmonton, and he has these two very gritty, very polite, beautiful daughters that are just like total life crushers. And I think he did a really good job of like being super available to have conversations and being like an open door at all times. But like, the dude won the Stanley Cup. Like, he's not here to fuck around. You want to train for rugby? Do you really want to train for rugby? Right. So it was like this really cool double-edged sword of like, he's the softest dad and like a fucking heathen. It was awesome. So anyway, I always look to him and other dads that are doing it differently, maybe better, maybe worse. I don't, whatever.
The smartest leaders and this is not to say that you aren't doing everything right yourself already, but I mean, I think the smartest, not even leaders, people look to other people who are doing great things and they ask them what they're doing because whatever. One of my other questions is, so
how are we doing? How are we doing? Rank me as a guest.
Well, I've done a few sunset sessions, like iterations. We're kind of tweaking the concept, but this is like the first on the porch.
Dope.
Kind of what we.
Can you take me on the boat?
Yeah, totally, 100%. I told you that. I was like,
yeah, I know.
Not gonna work today. It's just too many variables.
I get it.
I mean, it ended up being a beautiful. The wind's going the right direction.
Super flat, right?
Super flat.
This is what you want.
In this bay, because the wind is just.
What's this bay called?
This is Spring Park Bay.
Got it.
And so the wind, this is the north side of the bay, and so the wind's from the north, and so it worked out fine, but I don't know. Yeah.
Let's pick right up where we left off. Ready? Rank me as a guest.
Rank me as a guest!
Rank me as a guest. We're 2/3 of the way done. Rank me as a guest.
Okay. Yeah, we have to stop every quarter.
Out of 10.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
How do you feel like you are as a guest? How would you rank yourself?
Well, that's why I asked how many of these shows you've done. I think I'm a fucking 10.
Well, I've interviewed countless people.
But not for this.
No, not for this.
Yeah, so I think compared to whatever else you have, I would say I'm probably like a
10 plus.
10. I'm 11. I'm a 6. I think I'm a 10.
I appreciate your candidness.
I'm a 16.
I appreciate your candidness. I know that you have a business to run, and so you're kind of like, you navigate. navigate.
I'm going to give this like a really strong Yelp review when I finally watch this. When is this coming out? A week?
Probably a week and a half, just because I need to get one in the can. And
cool.
You know, next one will be in 2 weeks because Troy and I are going to Pittsburgh. Or no, you're not coming to Pittsburgh. You're going to Maine with me in 3 weeks. I go to Pittsburgh on Monday. So
for what?
Destination Polaris, a show that I host and produce.
You're a TV person.
And he films. So we have 6 filmers? 6 filmers who they all rotate different shows at the production company that I work at. So I'm traveling with different people all the time. So I'll be gone next week. So I want to get one in the can. May come out next week, but probably push it 2 weeks. Yeah.
You let me know. Let me know what I need to do.
Yeah, I will. You have to sell your soul. Look
at me.
Post everything.
Great. Dad, put it on your Facebook.
I'll do everything.
Dad, text the family. It's live. It's gone live.
Yeah. Do you have any family
The sunset
functions
thing. Don't ask questions. Just send it. I just want to say that this is the most fun I've had drinking champagne on anyone's balcony over Lake Minnetonka ever. Yeah.
It's an honor.
You know where we live near is Maynard's.
Yep, it's a good spot.
Is it? Or is it just a spot?
More of a Fletcher's gal myself, but...
What about Haskell's? What's the culture there? Do you know Haskell's?
Hell yeah, I do.
Is it good or is it trashy? Wrong word. Is it good
Both.
or is it worn?
It's both.
Yeah. I've never been in.
I mean, I'm drinking champagne out of a tin cup.
Yeah.
It's both. It's good. It's trash.
Yeah, cool. Okay, good.
Okay, so a lot of the stuff that you do in addition to starting the November project is you speak at events and you're motivating people. I know, like, I've been there where the term, like, motivational speaker, it's very corny. You're like,
yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that.
I mean, I'm not that, but yeah, I speak.
Sure.
You know, I speak and I speak in front of large crowds. You're a high energy person is what I take.
I'm playing small ball right now to fit on this balcony, but yes.
He's going to scale the walls.
Fuck, dude, I'm like crawling out of my skin. Yeah. What's the question?
We can't, I know.
Talk again.
Seatbelt.
Okay, so
do you ever feel guilty? Mm-hmm. Like, one of your biggest things that I've taken away from your talk is getting up in the morning, and this is so true. Like, getting up in the morning, your alarm clock goes off, we all go.
Yeah. We're all our worst. That's a tough moment. Yeah.
I hate the snooze alert.
Yeah.
I just want to sleep forever. Do you ever feel guilty?
Are you a snoozer? Do you hit it?
You know what's weird is I never used to be. This morning I snoozed once and got up and I was so tired. Yeah. But I got up and was like, I went into what I now call the pain cave.
Yeah.
My garage, which has this bike, a stationary bike, and I went into the pain cave and was like, best morning ever, best morning ever. And like coffee, and I get to open these windows and see the lake.
Coffee after you ride?
Woo! No, before.
Yeah.
Like, I have to have coffee before.
Coffee poop ride, right? Personal.
I actually pooped after, but.
You poop after the ride?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know.
That's like a loaded gun. Fuck that. Dude.
Okay. Wow.
I'm getting up. I'm drinking coffee. Sorry, coffee, if you're watching. I'm mostly drinking.
Just a poop.
For the experience.
I loved waking up.
It's utility for me.
No.
You're riding the bike?
No, for me.
With just a.
No.
And then,
for me, it's.
Awesome.
I'm making the coffee for I love putting the coffee into the filter. Like, I don't want any special.
You're making a pot?
Hell no. I'm not I don't wear high tops.
Yeah.
I'm doing a pot, old school pot. And just fill up the pot and put it in. Like, this is like
what kind of coffee?
Trashy. Just standard.
Dunkin'?
Not Dunkin', just like your standard Folgers stuff. Just
Folgers? No way.
In your cup.
No way. I don't buy it. You do not do Folgers. You do not make a pot of Folgers.
What do I make a pot of then?
I think you're like a medium roast Starbucks. We're going to go through the cabinets.
Unless Starbucks would like to pay for this podcast.
No. Yeah. Okay, no shout outs.
It's a no.
I'm bougie on the coffee thing.
Okay.
I'm bougie on the coffee.
That's what I said. I'm not wearing high tops.
You think high tops are bougie?
You're doing pour overs. You're wearing.
I'm doing all of this
fancy pants.
That's all that's right.
That's just.
All of that is
correct. A
correct.
little different. I'm doing it for the smells.
And not the pooping. You're doing it for bike spike and then post ride.
And I'm in the pain cave in my trashy garage riding my trashy stationary bike.
That's cool.
And Anyways, back to the point.
Yeah. You were saying public speaking, something, energy, something, motivational speaker, and then you were like, we went off on the thing.
Yeah, what did I say? You're like, I remember what I said, but I'm trying.
No, we didn't get to the question. I think speaking's awesome. It fuels me. It fills me up.
That wasn't the question. I remember the question. I'm just asking if you remembered. So no, my question was, one of your big things is getting up in the morning, and like the first thing that most people do is like groan at their alarm going off. When honestly, for me, a lot of the times being here, I'm actually pretty excited to get up. I see the sunrise, and I get sunrise and sunset here, and the light fills the room, and I actually am like I'll snooze once, but I'm like, oh, this is pretty freaking rad.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky, and I'm not saying that I'm corny and like this person who's like, bless every day, blah, blah, blah. I get pissed too, and sometimes the alarm goes off and I'm angry, but most days I'm actually full of gratitude, and I write in my gratitude journal, and I'm writing it, and then I go ride my bike and freaking get angry, burn some cows, whatever. But I know that as humans, sometimes we don't have those perfect mornings, and your big thing is like waking up is the first opportunity that you have to make your day great.
That's right.
Right?
You did your homework.
So do you, and I know you're not perfect because no one is.
Right.
Do you ever feel guilty for preaching something, and like maybe there's a morning where you snooze 6 times and you're like, I told everyone not to snooze?
Yep.
Do you ever feel guilty?
Yes. Yeah. Do I ever feel guilty? Yeah. We used to have like a handful of people back in Boston who would come to the workouts with their kids. This is long before I was married, long before I had kids. And they would have a kid in the backpack going up and down the stairs. And I was like,
in the backpack.
It was awesome.
The backpack.
Like the baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought it was fucking hardcore. But we used that as an example. So when we'd go to talk to somebody else, they'd be like, no, I got kids, morning routine, whatever. I'd be like, no.
There you go.
Sally's here.
With the backpack.
Instead of like the exception, I'd be like,
Right.
Sally's the rule.
Mm-hmm.
And so my kid is 3.5, and he's never been to November Project.
So you're using him as an excuse.
No, I still go.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, so do I feel guilty? So I feel guilty for guilting out those folks. I feel guilty for pushing folks into something that sucks, but I think it's an equalizer.
Doesn't suck.
No. When the morning starts, that morning, that when the alarm goes off, I think that sucks for Olympians and couch potatoes. I think it's the same. I think it's an equalizer.
Okay, one thing that I said in my
Because people go, you're a morning person, you love mornings, and I think morning people don't exist. And I think this many years later, being a rowing athlete, a coach, and then into 10 years of November Project, and I still hate mornings. I don't think it's like something that comes easy, if ever, So that's how I feel about mornings.
Well, and one thing that you just said is like, you don't think morning people exist, and I think that's true. It's like getting up in the morning sucks. Sleeping in and being couch potato sucks too.
Also sucks.
So what sucks less, right? Like
I know, and that's where we fall into our lines of like start the day, take control, your workout's out of the way, you've seen some friends, social box checked, and it's not even 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
How can that day, like you're already kind of grabbing the wheel as opposed to like, all right, let's see how this goes. It's like, I just remember, especially Boston days, seeing people arrive to work. I had a corporate job for a couple years, and they would roll in at like just before 9, looking groggy and really pained and miserable on a Wednesday morning. And I'd have already been to a rave, a social gathering, an uprising,
right.
A spiritual workout thing that is hard to explain.
Yeah.
But I think a group that's that kind of forcefully positive doesn't give you a lot of room to remain the Scrooge on the edges of the thing.
Right.
We do send a lot of people away. Well, you guys are too upbeat. You're having too much fun. That's not my thing.
I bet you do.
But we have people come once. And if it's not their thing, that's cool. It's not for everybody. Yeah. I don't know how that was.
What's the difference between someone, okay, because there are people, and you're speaking, like a lot of the times, and I'm making assumptions. When you speak to people, you're going into a room where people actually want to get motivated, and which means that they're already actually motivated and they're looking for motivation. what's the difference between someone, like, for me it's hard because sometimes I speak to leadership conferences and sometimes I speak to high schoolers.
Right.
Whoa.
Right.
Okay, they're all high schoolers. But when I'm at a leadership conference, they're like, woo, 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 woo. We're here.
Yeah, they want.
And then I'm at high school and then there are kids who are like, try me, girl.
Yeah.
Try. Sure,
yeah.
what do you got to say?
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Which, admittedly, like, I was that person, like, all right, what do you, say your thing and whatever. But what I'm going to say to you is, like, how do you motivate the people who aren't already motivated?
Well, you don't have, first of all, you don't have days. You usually have 30 to 60 minutes up there on stage. For me.
No, totally. But how do you motivate those people who are not motivated?
I think I try and keep it light.
Okay.
I try and keep it light. I try and make it about us. Mm-hmm. I usually use November Project as a nice framing of different walks of life when it comes to, like, age, ethnicity, body shape, the level in which they're committed to November Project. I love talking about someone who just joined last week.
Yeah.
Because I, unfortunately, would, if you kind of looked at me across the room, maybe this like a jock-shaped guy or like a broski guy. And so I like to try and do something more thoughtful than first impressions may give off. I include people that are in the room, but I sure as shit make sure I study the demographic of who's going to be there. I do have those horror stories of a regional conference for Motorola in Chicago where everyone really just wanted to cash in their free drink ticket when I was done.
Right, they're like,
what are you, who gives a fuck? I'm not going to the thing.
Yeah.
So that was an important thing of, like, you know what, sometimes you do get through them.
Right.
Sometimes it's a job. And that's why the folks that I know who got into public speaking and just do it as a thing, they end up in front of those audiences more often. And if you do it as something here and there.
Yeah, right. No, it's entirely different.
So in 2017, I spoke at Facebook, and it was at their global conference in San Francisco. And there were, I think they said 5,000, but I think there was more like 4,000 people in the room. And I just remember thinking it was like fish in a barrel because they all know what social media is. The vast majority of them are like on a global vision and are between ages of 20 and 45. So it's like, y'all good? Fuck yeah, let's practice that again. It's like right away.
They are already motivated.
As opposed to Motorola, it's like, so, how is everybody doing? Like, it was just like, and I was the whole thing was bad.
Right.
And so sometimes I think you got to pick your battles. And when it comes to public speaking, because I don't lead workouts anymore and I lead the organization, it sounds like a subtle difference, but like I get really high in front of people again. And so I haven't done much speaking at all since the pandemic. But when I was doing it, I got really stoked when I knew I was going into either a room that was a doable challenge, like I'd done my homework and I could get them, or one that was on the easier side. Show of hands, who knows what November Project is? And if half of them go up, I'm like, here, this is going to be
right.
And because of the content or the context of November Project in those presentations, I almost always get people out of their seats to move physically, to share movement. Even though we're all wearing fucking lanyards, it's like, well, we just moved. And even though you don't know all their names, technically this could be a community kind of shaped blob of humans.
Totally.
Wasn't that something? As opposed to sitting and listening.
That was something that when I watched your program, I was like, and something that I was like, wow, I really need to integrate the movement and the interaction, right? Like you're making people interact, and I think that's so big now, and you mentioned that many times, is like, let's freaking high five each other.
Yeah, I think it's easier said than done because a lot of people are kind of like, okay, let's get out of our seats. You know, It's like, no, I actually need even the people. In fact, I could flip it and say the people that least want to do this, I need you the most.
Right.
The people that are most stoked, I knew you from the elevator.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew you from.
Yeah.
I knew you from the.
You know exactly. Who those
So
are.
I think sometimes you got to gravitate towards the challenge, and when it comes to tough cookie, you know, I think someone on their phone, that's always a fun challenge. I often tell people to take out your phones, hold them up, give it to some people 3 seats away from you, have them babysit your phone. Wow, don't we feel naked? Why is this such a fucked up feeling?
Right.
But it's all just to get full attention.
Right.
You're gonna babysit their phone for the next 31 minutes, and it's like, well, now I have their fucking attention.
Right.
So it's a little bit of like, not a trick, but a little bit of a tool to like, okay, Well, those 6% of the people that were going to be on their phone the whole time, well, I got them now.
Well, it's a trick, but also like a tool to show people, wow, I'm really vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Without my phone.
And trusting people, trusting strangers.
Yeah,
That's something we don't practice. And then
a number of things.
And then the idea of like when we don't have the ability to go to our life raft.
Safety net.
Yeah, our life raft.
Yep.
If we don't have that, maybe we keep our eyes up and our eyes open, and maybe we take.
Weird when people don't know what to do because they don't have phones.
Right. And so that's another piece, and then just generally going back to kind of that older mantra of just enthusiasm. And I come in hot often. I came into your apartment hot in terms of like, I got to know where to meet the group, and I think if I come in at a 10 and they at best are a 4. So you got to learn that.
Right.
It's like a calibration.
You have to meet them. So if you came, where did you think you came in here?
I think so. We had one call, you and I.
Yep.
And I think I got a good read on you, but not a great read. Mm-hmm. So I think I knew to come in at like a 7 or lower. Mm-hmm. I think I came in at a 7.
Because I'm super boring.
I'm a 7.
Okay.
I came in at a 7.
So where were you met at?
You were met. You came in at like you were chill. You were more chill than I was. You were a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I think cameras get rolling. You pop some champagne. I'm a 10. I'm good. This is me. You know what I mean? Like I won't leave here being like, I should have shown her who I am.
See, I was drinking beers out of a wine glass when you showed up, and you're like,
stemware. I thought that was dope.
What's happening?
Yeah, but
and I'm like, I don't know if he drinks, but this is happening.
Yeah.
Totally.
This
is happening.
Well, you didn't let me finish. I was like, are you drinking a beer out of stemware? And you were like, yes. And that was a little bit of a clunky interaction because what I wanted to scream was like, fuck yeah, it's amazing. And I think we kind of moved it. You're like, so you're bringing the bike in? It was like, I was
like, hey, bring your bike in.
Yeah, it turned into a different thing. So anyway, props.
Totally.
Props.
So I think the thing that I want to end on is, and I should probably figure out like an ender here, but like as far as to live on.
How to land the plane a little bit.
Right. No, but one thing that I want to know is like, we can all sit and preach a number of things, and preach isn't a bad term, but like help people be their best selves and give them tools. Is there anything that you actually do every day, or like you do to better yourself that you don't necessarily tell other people, or like, and it doesn't have to be something secret, but you're like, oh, I actually floss every night. Makes me feel good.
Let's see. Well, there's some stuff I probably wouldn't share. I mean, I think I probably practice yoga almost every single day, and I think, but it's probably equally spiritual as it is like physical, and I think people wouldn't expect that out of kind of
meditation.
Sure.
Practice.
I sent one. I don't know. I didn't go through. I send a lot of text videos of myself talking to friends. I'll send you one tomorrow after the workout. I call them short films.
Okay.
And it's a way just to check in with people. I try and sneak into your day. I basically try to sneak into your day in a way that like you've got enough screen time, you've got enough stresses. I'm a letter writer.
Love that. I love writing letters.
So,
I have my big like stationery stack.
Did you get one out?
What are these?
When was the last one you got out?
Letters?
Do you send them? Freehand?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're just they're in they're blank notes. They're not like thank you notes. They're not anything. They're just blank notes, and that was something my grandmother did. And I don't have much extended family, and so that's something that I try to. And as you've seen, we've got my grandparents' mugs here.
So cool.
I don't have much heritage. I don't have much extended family, so that's something that's very special that I think goes way beyond what it's actually the effort put in.
Sure.
Right. But it means something to me to write it too.
Yeah. And we always talk about the hurdle. Like it's easy-ish to write a note. It's a little bit harder to write one that's like passionate or important or timely.
Well, gets
through. My mother and I joke that like the hardest part's actually like finding the stamp in the envelope and then getting it out. What's their address?
Right.
What's their
exactly.
I don't know.
I have to go to them freaking.
What's my address?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
maybe
then
go to
I will
the
say that the one thing
office?
that I do, especially on my travels, because I travel to at least a city a week for November Project, and I've been doing this almost my whole life before November Project, which is just like, and a couple close friends know this about me, but it's a bit of a pause. It's a bit of a yogic moment where you look around and you're like, I could do it right now. We'll do it right now. Which is you just pause and you look around. That's where you keep your boat. This is your life. Mm-hmm. This is your homie. The sun is
setting right there.
These are a couple cameras. These are some old important mugs.
The bomb.
And you stop and you say, I know we got a lot to do tomorrow, And I know that we've come from a lot of struggles and trudging and shit that we're not proud of and mistakes. But man, oh man, look how we got right here. And it's like a frozen thing of like, isn't this awesome? Mm-hmm. And I really believe in that, because if you don't do that, you skate through this, and not you, but like people would forget to look at the lake, and then of course it's just a video guy, and it's another piece of content. What are we doing next week? And then when let's go up, we'll go up, and it's like,
and all the things I have to do tomorrow.
And we wake up and we miss these chunks. And I think some of my biggest years of travel and some of my biggest years, I tried to keep doing that. And I think I did an okay job, but I try and share that tool with people. It's like, it's easiest in the weirdest moments to be like, how the fuck are we in Hong Kong? What is this?
Right.
But it applies in Cleveland, and it applies at a train station, it applies at a gas station, it applies at the doctor's office, at your next treatment. It's like, it applies everywhere. And so like, forcing the beauty in a moment by just taking it in. How is that? Was that poetic?
I do love that, because people have always, said to me, like, how has cancer changed your life? And the answer is it really hasn't.
Do you have cancer?
I was pretty passionate.
She has cancer.
Prior to.
If you're tuning in now.
But no, I mean, my point is like, it gets pretty obnoxious. I'm like, oh, cancer changed your life. And I was like, yeah. And people actually hate it when I'm like, actually, I was a pretty insane 9-year-old who was like writing down how much I love like hearing birds chirp and whatever. But, if I have to say that cancer changed me, what it actually does is it makes you appreciate the small moments. So I was on Ben Lieber's podcast last week, and it's like, I love waking up and smelling coffee brewing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like, and that's not, like, I am not kidding you. If you watch me wake up tomorrow morning in my bedroom, I'd be like, maybe put on Diana Ross. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe turn the disco light on. So like, and it's not that you have to disco, or that you have to like, you don't have to go skydiving. You don't have to like go to Hong Kong.
Sure.
You don't have to be sitting in Times Square to be like, oh, look at this.
You can do it anywhere.
I had a fucking billboard in my face in Times Square for 5 years, and I never went. It's like,
For real?
For real.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's insane. I just like those small moments. If you can like find a way to appreciate something small.
Sure.
That is the most meaningful.
Well, I think in gratitude also, it's not small or large. It's gratitude. Just kind of, right.
It's a level plane. It's across the board. Totally.
How did we do?
I think we did pretty well.
Do you want to rank your guest one last time?
One last time.
10.
Oh,
Please,
sheesh.
I'm a 7.
Is it out of a 10?
I'm a 7. I know I am.
Well, if I must.
7?
From a 0 to 10, I'd say.
I'm so nervous.
It was a sparkling wine out of my grandparents' mug, and rank that where you will.
I
think it's pretty good. All right, fine. It was a 9.
I think as a host, I think you're like an 8.5.
I think it was. All right, fine. You're cooler than me. He's
cool.
a 9. I'm an 8.5, and I'll take that because it's my show,
and
I don't care. Cheers to you. Appreciate you, November Project.
Cheers.
We'll be there apparently tomorrow morning.
Gold Medal Park,
Check them out. What's your social media?
Social Security? It's 397. My social media, I am at Brogan Graham, Brogan Graham. What's yours?
Alexis Score.
And then the most important one is November Project Straight Through.
We'll be there tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
You.